Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to do a comparison between these two watches. So the one on the left was lent by Graham and it was a surprisingly restrained Breitling. So I wanted to compare it with my Omega Seamaster because they have a lot of similar features, and I want to see how they do in a head-to-head. So here we go. Let's just introduce the watches. So on the left corner, we have the Breitling Colt 41mm. I know three-hander with date, right? It's an ETA movement inside, but you know, it's quite similar to the one on the right. So the one on the right is my very favorite watch, you know, one of my very most beloved watches. This is the Omega Seamaster Professional 300M with ceramic bezel and lacquer dial. So it's no longer the current version. This was the previous version, also in 41mm. So the case size is actually the same. I mean, they have very you know, different overall appearance, but ostensibly a lot of the functions are the same. So they're both Swiss-made dive-capable watches, right? The Omega is definitely a dive watch. The Breitling is kind of more a military-style watch, but it's dive-capable. They are both well-known brands from very similar tier, I think. You know, Omega may be just slightly above Breitling, but very similar. They both have quality 316L steel finish, screw-in case backs. Right, just show you the case backs. So the Breitling has this polished one. Omega has the very well-known etching, the nice etching that Omega does for their case backs. Right, screw-in crowns, and they both have 200 plus meter water resistant. The Omega, in fact, of course, is 300 meters. The Breitling is 200 meters. 120 click unidirectional dive style bezels. They both have great lume, which you know, they both last through the night. Omega, you would think would be far superior because of the amount of lume, but they're actually both not too bad. The Breitling actually is perhaps only slightly behind Omega. Similar pricing. How will the surprisingly restrained Breitling Colt fare against the perennially popular Seamaster Professional 300M? So MSRP, I'll tell you now, is $3,525 for the Colt versus $4,400 USD for the Seamaster. A realistic grey market price, well, we're talking about $2,800 versus $3,400. So, you know, there is a substantial difference in pricing. Not very big difference, but, you know, substantially more for the Omega that you're going to be paying for. So let's just see how they fare in this particular head-to-head. All right, first up, we're talking about the movement, the caliber. So Breitling has the Breitling Caliber 17, which is really an ETA 2824-2. Yes, it is a cost certified ETA, so it is chronometer grade, but the Omega, you know, being the 2500 caliber, is actually a 2892-A2. So it is a higher grade movement. It is also cost certified. Omega also has the Co-Axial escapement upgrade. So if you look carefully at the dial here, you can see at the bottom there, it does say coaxial on the dial itself, you know, if you didn't know that already about the movement in this watch. So I think there's no doubt at all, I have to give the mark to the Omega here. You could argue maybe it's a 2-point spread. I've chosen to give the mark of 8 versus 9 in Breitling versus Omega in this particular caliber. Case versus bezel. So the Breitling has an all polished finish, right? You've seen me do this in the review. So just show it to you. It's completely polished on the finishing here. Right, the bezel has brushing here, and it's very well done. I have to say the finishing on the bezel is excellent. But you know, Omega has the iconic case, right, with all the curves that this case design comes in, the polish and brushing transitions, right? The bezel with the great design as well as that helium escape valve. I'm gonna have to give the mark to the actual Omega, you know, 9 versus 8. You know, again, the edge to the Omega. The Breitling is absolutely no slouch. It's a very good design. I think the Omega just takes it overall, I guess, at least in my opinion, in terms of the case and bezel design here. That's just what I've thought about this. Okay, dial versus crystal. Okay, now dial and crystal. Now the crystals I think are not differentiating here. They're both sapphire. The Omega is slightly domed. The Breitling is more flat sapphire with anti-reflective coating. So they're very similar. I'm not going to differentiate them. So the differentiating factor is in the dial, and the Breitling is packed with detail here. So you can see it's got 24-hour marking. It's got the decimal scale around the outside here. All right, it's got a lot of features here. The Omega is sweetly simple, I would say. You know, this is a very, you know, minimal dial really for Omega. You know, applied marker there. It's got coaxial wording down the bottom. It's got a clean date window here, and it doesn't. It's just a clean lacquer dial. This one doesn't actually have the wave on it, so it's nice and simple. They're both very good in their own ways. So, you know, the differentiating factor is just in the detail that is packed in the dial. I've chosen to give this both 9 out of 10 on the dial and crystal mark here, right? Same mark here for both of them. Okay, bracelet. Now, the Breitling bracelet, I have to say, very well machined, very solid, right? Screw links, of course, solid end links, but where it falls down, you know, whilst the arms here are very solid, it's got very nice printing there. The clasp is, you know, casing is actually relatively poor. It's almost like pressed metal, and so is the keeper. I guess the security keeper here. It's relatively poor. It's just incredulous. A little bit of mystery why Breitling puts up with this level of finishing on their clasp. So I have to knock a mark off Breitling for the bracelet here. Whereas the Omega, this is one of the best bracelets in the business. You know, it's really the iconic 9-piece per link. It's got a great clasp, right? In this case, solid machine clasp. It also has, of course, that solid dive extension. I have to give the mark to the Omega. I don't think this is controversial at all in this particular facet here. 9 versus 8 on the bracelet here, mainly because of the clasp the Breitling forks down in. All right, Omega, I have to say, if it had a glide lock style micro adjustment, that would be a 10 out of 10 bracelet. That's what I think about this bracelet. Okay, quality-wise, no separation for me. I think they're both great Swiss finishing. They're both, you know, have a very solid feel, and they both have great attention to detail, particularly the Breitling on the dial, Omega on the bracelet, as well as the, you know, the applied markers are just great stuff there. I've given it 9 and 9. No separation for me on the quality between these two pieces. Styling. Okay, styling, very subjective. I think Breitling is, in this case, uncharacteristically restrained, right? It's very conservative. In fact, this could actually double as a, you know, kind of more formal watch, not just a tool watch, even though it's a tool design. Omega has the classic Seamaster professional styling. Very, very popular, very, you know, I think it's a very good looking watch. At least that's my view of it. And one of my favorite looks, and overall, in my opinion, more attractive. That's just my opinion. I think the Breitling is a very good watch, and certainly versatility probably edges under the Omega in terms of being, you know, more capable to suit formal occasions. I just think the Omega is a prettier watch, hence I've given 9 versus 8. You know, very subjective, but that's just my view of this. You may, of course, think differently. Okay, performance, nearly there, guys. So Breitling, I think it's military styled, clearly, right? It's got the 24-hour markings on the dial there. It's got the decimal scale. It's, of course, also got a proper 200-meter water resistant and very good lume with a unidirectional, very solid dive style bezel. Omega is just different in some ways. It doesn't have those dial functions that the Breitling has, right? Those military style markings, but it's got a very good bezel. It's got a high dive rating. It's got the helium escape valve, you know, if you feel that you know, reach depths where you need that. I think the lume is very, very similar. Omega probably edges slightly ahead, mainly because of the amount of lume. I can't separate it in terms of performance because of those differential features. I've given it 8 for both on this particular facet for performance. 8 for Omega, 8 for Breitling. Okay, durability. Both, I think, are solid steel. They are both dive capable, water resistance. You know, they're not the most robust tool designs I've ever seen. Certainly, I think the Oris Equistate I have is a more robust design, as is the Planet Ocean Omega 600-meter Planet Ocean, which I've reviewed before. I think both of those are more durable, more solid tool style watches. I've given 7 out of 10 because of, you know, that comparison with other more solid tool divers I know of and I've seen in hand. But in terms of separating these two, I don't think there is a separation. 7 out of 10 for the durability mark here. All right, penultimate mark here, value. Okay, I think they both have very clearly defined value here. You know, that's my view of these watches. I think the Breitling is, of course, the cheaper watch, and it's cheaper by 1,000 on MSRP, or about 600 or 700 in terms of discounted price you might be able to get. You know, it does have a lesser caliber, a lesser grade movement, if you will, in the 28-24. The Bracelet, I think, has a weaker class. And, you know, certain other elements, it doesn't quite have the Omega, particularly the overall case finishing and design, you know, that the Omega has. I think the Breitling is not quite up there. The Bracelet is also, you know, I think more refined in the Omega. So I think whilst you pay 1,000 more in MSRP, I think it's quite clearly defined what you're getting for the Omega, particularly also with that Co-Axial cost certified 2892 movement. You know, I think you're getting the same value. You get what you pay for, really. I think for these watches, you know, 8 out of 10 is what I've given for the value sticks. On both of this, the Breitling is cheaper. You get slightly less, but I think you get exactly what you pay for both of these watches. Okay, last one, guys, brand. Okay, so Omega, I'm not going to mention too much more about it. I've given 10 out of 10 before because it is, you know, I think easily in the top 5 brands in anyone's consciousness. If you just ask anyone off the street, in terms of brand awareness, Omega is right up there, right, in terms of what they've achieved. Breitling is no slouch. Look, I think Breitling is a solid name. They have respectability. They definitely have quality, and they've gone in the last few years towards in-house chronograph movements. So all respect to Breitling for what they have achieved, but I think I do have to give the brand mark to Omega. I don't think that's controversial in this sense. Omega has more brand strength than Breitling overall, really, I think. Okay, so there we go, guys. That's the comparison there. What is the mark? You know, I think in my mind, at least, no doubt the Omega does edge ahead, you know, in several factors. So I think, you know, in summary, it's been an interesting comparison, particularly given the restraint and quality of this particular Breitling, which is the same size, same case diameter as the Seamaster Professional. Overall, I think the Colt equals the Seamaster Professional in quality, in attention to detail, especially the dial details. It really shines there. And, you know, performance characteristics, you know, I've given the same mark. But, you know, I think there's no doubt the Omega offers substantially more value for the $1,000 more asking price. It does have a better movement, a better bracelet, overall better looking, I think, in terms of attractiveness. And I think also, no doubt, the brand strength is with Omega. So guys, there we go. That's my comparison of these two, you know, really quite nice watches, quite good quality, very good quality, Swiss-made, dive-capable watches. Let me know what you think about these two, particularly if you own either one. You know, really interested to hear your thoughts as always. So guys, there we have it. If you enjoy my videos, do consider subscribing. I always put out new content every week, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you again for sticking with me, and as always, I'll catch you guys next time.